You've seen it happen. Someone raises their voice, interrupts you, pushes your buttons in public, and suddenly, the loudest person seems to win. But here's the quiet truth most people miss. Noise only wins the moment. Calm wins the long game. If you react with anger, you lose the ground beneath your feet. You hand them control of your mind. Your dignity slips. Your presence weakens. But here's the shift that changes everything. The right reply, delivered calmly, can silence anyone instantly. In this video, I'll share 5 clever Stoic answers. Not insults, not comebacks, but verbal boundaries that shut down disrespect without losing your peace. One of these replies is especially powerful. It flips the dynamic completely. The other person feels exposed, without you attacking them at all. Stoicism teaches this clearly. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you respond that matters." Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to remain like a rock, steady while waves crash around it. If you stay unshaken, you become untouchable. And when you're untouchable, people stop testing you. If you keep reacting emotionally, you'll always be pulled into chaos. But here's the Stoic alternative. Control your judgment, and the situation collapses. Let's begin with the first reply, the one that quietly takes away their power before they even realize it. This is the reply people underestimate the most. And because they underestimate it, it works. Picture this. Someone interrupts you, raises their voice, tries to provoke a reaction. They expect resistance. They expect defense. They expect emotion. Instead, you calmly say, "I hear you." Here's the danger most people fall into. If you rush to explain yourself, you signal insecurity. If you argue back, you step into their frame. And the moment you step into their frame, you lose control. But here's the new reflex. Acknowledgement without agreement disarms manipulation. "I hear you" does not mean "you're right." It means, "I'm not threatened by your tone." It tells them you're grounded. It removes the emotional fuel they're looking for. In meetings, this is devastatingly effective. A coworker criticizes you aggressively. You pause. Make eye contact. "I hear you." Suddenly, they're exposed. If they continue attacking, they look unreasonable. If they stop, you've won the space without force. Here's the Stoic core behind it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." You're not denying reality. You're denying their access to your emotional center. Here's the risk you must avoid. If you add justification right after, "But what I meant was," you give the power back. So remember this reflex. Say the phrase, "Stop." Let silence do the work. If you react emotionally, you'll train people to push harder next time. But here's the Stoic upgrade. Calm acknowledgement retrains the entire dynamic. You protect your dignity. You keep your mind free, and the conversation resets on your terms. Now, the next reply goes one step further. It doesn't just neutralize disrespect, it quietly locks the door on it before it ever enters. Let's move to reply 2. This reply doesn't attack, it doesn't defend, it quietly ends the debate. Here's the situation. Someone judges you, labels you, speaks as if their view is absolute truth. Most people panic here. They try to correct, they try to persuade, and without realizing it, they beg for approval. That's the danger. The moment you argue opinions, you hand over your authority. Here's the Stoic reflex instead. You look at them calmly and say, "That's your opinion." Then you stop. This sentence is powerful because it reframes reality. You're not saying they're wrong. You're saying their judgment lives with them, not with you. In one move, you separate facts from noise. Imagine a family dinner. Someone says, "You'll never succeed doing that." Old reflex, defend your dream. New reflex, pause. That's your opinion. Silence follows, because there's nothing to fight. Here's the Stoic backbone. Epictetus taught that people are disturbed not by events, but by the judgments they attach to them. When you say, "That's your opinion," you're practicing Stoicism out loud. Now, here's the warning. If you say this with sarcasm, it becomes a weapon. And weapons escalate conflict. Say it neutral, almost gentle, as if you're naming the weather. If you absorb their judgment, you'll carry their limits as your own. But here's the upgraded response. By naming it as opinion, you refuse to internalize it. You stay free. You keep your direction. And their words lose weight instantly. Notice what happens over time. People stop trying to define you because they realize it doesn't stick. And this sets up the next level of mastery. The next reply doesn't just separate opinions. It reflects disrespect back like a mirror, without adding a single word of insult. That's reply 3. This reply is a mirror, not a shield, not a sword. Here's the setup. Someone makes a cutting remark, a passive-aggressive joke, a comment meant to lower your status in the room. Most people react emotionally. They snap back, or they swallow it and feel small. Both reactions lose ground. Here's the Stoic move. You look at them, calm voice, steady eye contact, and you ask, "Why are you saying this?" Then you wait. This question is devastating because it exposes intent. It forces the speaker to confront their motive. Are they joking? Seeking attention? Trying to dominate? Most people aren't prepared to answer that. Here's the danger if you don't use this. If you let disrespect slide, you train people how to treat you. Silence can become permission. But here's the new reflex. You don't attack the words. You question the purpose behind them. Picture a work meeting. A colleague smirks and says, "Wow, that idea is interesting." Laughter in the room. Old reflex, defend the idea. New reflex, pause. Why are you saying this? Now the room shifts. All eyes turn to them. They either clarify or retreat. This is pure Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius wrote that wrongdoing often comes from ignorance. By asking, "Why?" you shine light without rage. Important rule. Never ask this sarcastically. Curiosity is the power source. If you ask with anger, you invite a fight. If you ask calmly, you expose weakness. Here's the risk warning. If you respond emotionally, you become predictable. Predictable men are easy to manipulate. But here's the upgrade. This question breaks the script. It forces the other person off autopilot. You keep your dignity intact. You don't escalate. And you make disrespect visible. Once people realize their intent will be questioned, they think twice before testing you again. And now, we go deeper. The next reply doesn't question intent. It closes the door completely. No argument, no explanation, just a locked boundary. That's reply 4. This reply is not clever, it's final. And that's why it works. Here's the situation. The discussion is going nowhere. They keep pushing, repeating the same disrespect, trying to pull you into emotional chaos. Most men stay too long. They explain, they justify, they argue. That's the trap. Here's the brutal risk if you don't shut it down. The longer you stay, the more control you give away. Every extra sentence hands them your attention, and attention is power. But here's the new reflex. You don't win by dominating the conversation. You win by ending it. You say calmly, "I'm not available for this conversation." Then you stop talking. This line does 3 things instantly. First, it removes emotion. You're not angry, you're unavailable. Second, It refuses their frame. You're not debating. You're not defending. Third, it protects your dignity. You leave with your spine straight. Picture a family gathering. Someone keeps criticizing your choices. Career, lifestyle, decisions you've already made. Old reflex, explain yourself. New reflex, I'm not available for this conversation. Silence, they may laugh. They may push once more. That's the danger moment. If you re-engage, the boundary collapses. But here's the upgrade. You repeat nothing. You simply disengage. Epictetus warned us. If you argue with fools, you join their level. The Stoic doesn't wrestle pigs in the mud. Here's the hook you need to hear. If you keep entertaining disrespect, it will keep visiting you. But here's the calm truth. Boundaries don't need explanations. They need consistency. This reply teaches people something powerful. Access to you is conditional. Peace is not negotiable. And once people feel that door close, most never try to open it again. Now, the final reply goes even further. It doesn't confront. It doesn't exit. It reframes everything and flips the power dynamic completely. That's reply 5. This is the reply that flips the entire dynamic. Because it doesn't fight. It doesn't correct. It doesn't explain. It detaches. Here's the situation. Someone throws an opinion at you like a weapon, a judgment, a label, a provocation dressed as truth. Most people rush to defend their identity, and the moment they do, they're trapped. Here's the danger if you react emotionally. The second you argue their opinion, you accept it as something that deserves your energy. But here's the new reflex. You don't attack the opinion. You relocate it. You say calmly, "That's your perspective." And you stop. This sentence is powerful because it does something subtle. It doesn't say they're wrong. It doesn't say you're right. It says, "That belongs to you, not to me." The argument collapses. Picture a work meeting. Someone says, "You're not leadership material." Old reflex. Defend your competence. New reflex. That's your perspective. Silence. Now they feel exposed. Because opinions lose power when they're named as opinions. Here's the hook most people miss. If you keep fighting opinions, you'll live inside other people's minds. But here's the Stoic shift. You let judgments pass through you like wind. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we suffer more in imagination than reality. This reply cuts imagination at the root. Family, relationships, social pressure. You should be doing more. You're falling behind. You're wasting your potential. You don't resist. You don't absorb. You simply say, "That's your perspective." And something changes. They lose the emotional leverage. You keep your center. Here's the final warning. If you internalize every opinion, you'll never be free. But here's the calm truth. Not every thought deserves a response. Not every voice deserves a seat at your table. These 5 replies aren't about sounding smart. They're about staying sovereign. And in the final part, we'll tie everything together. When to speak. When silence is stronger. And how calm presence makes manipulation impossible. That's where the real power settles. Let's bring it together. You now have 5 replies, not to win arguments, but to end them. Each one changes the script. They remove emotion from the exchange. They shift power back to you. And over time, they make you harder to provoke, harder to manipulate, harder to control. This is the long-term advantage most people miss. When others realize you don't react, they stop trying to push. Your presence becomes calm, grounded, unshakable. Remember this. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. Slow, neutral, no extra words. And sometimes the strongest reply is silence. As the Stoics taught, you always control your judgment, your response, your dignity. If this kind of calm strength matters to you, subscribe to Stoic Spring and turn on notifications for daily reminders of inner peace and emotional maturity. And now I'm curious, which reply will you use first, and in what situation? Comment below.